What if some of the advice that you've heard for years is actually making you slower as a runner?
Running, as you know, is one of the oldest sports in the world, but it's also full of myths that frankly refuse to disappear and go away. Some come from outdated coaching philosophies, others spread like wildfire on social media because they sound motivating even when they're not true.
So today we're breaking down 10 of the biggest running myths, what the science actually says, and what you should do instead. So by the end of this episode, we hope that you will probably be thinking a little bit differently about your training.
Myth number 1, no pain, no gain. We know you've heard this one. This is maybe the most infamous fitness phrase ever, and it's also one that is probably the most misunderstood. You know, productive training, like we know, when you're stacking bricks, it creates fatigue, but it should never cause sharp pain, right? There's a big difference, and athletes coming new into sport really need to differentiate between discomfort and being uncomfortable and actual injury. We know that we're going to get sore when we train, but it's not like if you're completely debilitated, it's a badge of honor. Like that's not a goal. A lot of overuse injuries that we see, especially in runners, which inevitably are going to happen, they start out as just a little ache, right? And then they're going to build and build and build, and pain's going to become more present, and discomfort's going to, increase, in proportion. In order for you to feel good all of the time, or most of the time, we need things to be a little bit more incremental and definitely things a little bit more contained. So, on this one, learning to listen to your body before your body forces you to listen is really the key.
Myth number 2, that more miles always makes you faster. This one is a no for me. We know that volume matters, but it only matters up to a point. So fitness only actualizes through the recovery phase.
Bing, bing, bing.
That should be the most famous running quip now, I think, at least in our podcast.
We should make this a truth, a top 10 truths that need to live.
Number 1. Many recreational runners actually under-recover. I know that I feel like my job as a coach for a lot of my type A athletes is really reeling them back in.
Yeah, get in to take a little breaky poo.
Exactly. Yeah. So quality workouts can lose their effectiveness when we are constantly fatigued. So this is like the early stages of burnout. Everybody has a sort of sweet spot for mileage.
Yeah.
So
it's so personal.
Yeah. So the big thing is we could be training for the same race, but your body might be able to handle more miles than mine, and my optimal training mileage would be far less than yours. So every runner has a sweet spot.
I think this one gets really tricky too when it comes to social media, or even inside of training groups. I'll hear, athletes kind of comparing, just having a discussion on maybe a long run of whoa, okay, what's your total mileage? And you can tell that there's always this inclination for whoever's doing more, that's somehow what everyone else should be doing. Not that they're putting that out there, but if you're running 50 and I'm running 40 as a peak, I'm well, maybe I should be doing 50. And or you see it posted of I hit my first 65-mile week. It's that shouldn't be a goal for you if you've been capping out at 38 miles.
The big picture point here is that more isn't always better. Sometimes more is just more, and you need to find what works for you.
Myth number 3 is that you should stretch before every run. Woo! This is one, I have very, very vivid memories of being in gym and going to track, particularly in high school, and doing 5 to 10 minutes of static stretching. Yes, absolutely, on the ground.
Right.
Not even standing up, on the ground, right? Static stretching, we know, is not the ideal warm-up. We now know that, right? This is the olden ways of the olden days of Coach Chris and Coach Robyn. Don't do that, right? That being said, we know that dynamic movements now, or neuromuscular activations, drills, prepares your muscles better. Examples of dynamic movements are the stuff that we do at Edge Run Club in our warm-up. So things like lateral shuffles, toy soldier, high knees, karaoke, the list can go on and on. When we think about things like long static stretches, you're going to want to be doing those more so, if your body likes those, after you're running or at a mobility session, on a day off. And this is really where it's just a lot better suited. Otherwise, you are really kind of overworking that muscle in a singular way before you're asking it to do work. And also sitting on the floor and stretching for 30 seconds, your hamstrings for 30 to 45 seconds, does not make me want to go and run. It makes me want to go and take a nap, right? But if I'm up and raising my heart rate and moving dynamically, it starts to kind of prime. There's a whole episode on priming, but it primes you to be able to do work. So, we definitely want you pre-run to prepare your muscles, which means moving dynamically, which is different than from increasing flexibility or boosting recovery after.
Moving on, myth number 4, walking during a race means you are failing. Just fundamentally untrue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've heard about Kira D'Amato talk about this, but up until really her hip surgery, she's talked about the fact that she has walked at every single race. When she set, American records, she walked in those races. Like it is a strategic tool. You can do it on a cadence, like with the Galloway method, or you can do it, when you're taking in fluids, or if you go to the bathroom and you need to ease back in after, right?
Yep.
You have to be able to use this as a tool. It does not mean that it just throws the whole idea of you racing out the window. It's a great moment to recollect.
Yeah, wonderful strategy, especially for for runners who are starting their running journey, coming back from injury.
Huge.
I've had huge success with athletes of being really strategic of saying we're going to do 8-2 or a 6-1 and programming it in their watch and being really consistent about it and having far better results than if they just tried to blast through.
Yeah.
It's also great if your training maybe wasn't as good as what you wanted it to be.
Keeps you safe.
So many different, but also for elite record-setting marathoners as well. So it works for literally everyone. It is actually a part of race winning strategies for ultra runners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? When you're managing your energy levels. So it's something that we do recommend that people practice with and try, because a lot of people have a hard time, or at least mentally think they will have a hard time getting going again after they stop to walk.
Is that the hesitation?
I think that it is.
Huh.
I really think that it is. So if you're holding a pace and then you stop to walk, it's like, oh, can I get myself back up to speed again? So experiment a little bit. Long runs are a perfect place to practice this, but it is a strategy that can work. And at the end of the day, your race results don't care whether you ran every step or if you walked in between.
Nobody cares.
And yeah, also not only do your race results not care, no one cares as long as you're getting yourself to the finish line in the best way for you. So consider using walking as a tool.
Myth number 5, carbon shoes make everyone faster. I feel like we're starting to see that this one is not true. 100% these shoes have the ability to improve your run economy, but they're also frickin' rocket ships, right? And the benefits truly, they vary pretty dramatically. We know in all instances that training still matters far more than a particular shoe does. And I think that a lot of athletes think, oh, if I wear the shoe and I train, then it's going to amplify everything. It's like, no, it amplifies literally everything, including the impact rate. So use it much, much more strategically, right? Closer to race day situations. Carbon shoes, of course, also don't fix pacing mistakes. Definitely do not need to use these for every runner. They definitely do not need to be and should not be used for every workout. Just consider what is best for you before you're buying. There's a whole bunch of things to consider, like comfort and cost and durability and injury. I always recommend just getting yourself into a local shop and trying things on and buying them from that shop. Don't sit there and then go online and get them for cheaper. Please support your small businesses. But this is really huge because you will be able to feel the difference, and they can probably even get you into a shoe that you might not have thought of that may or may not have a carbon plate and give you some guidance.
Number 6, if you're not sweating, it wasn't a good workout. Okay. Sweat measures your cooling effect, not your effort level. Temperature, humidity, and whether you're in the sun or the shade can all change your sweat rate. And everybody's individual physiology is different. So some people naturally sweat more, some people don't. So that is not a measure or metric of whether or not you are having a good workout. So completely put that to the side. Sweat doesn't matter.
Myth number 7, I'm so glad this one is mine. Rest days make you lose fitness. Fake news. Fitness only actualizes through The recovery phase. That's right. This is where adaptation actually happens. So we stack all these bricks, but we don't actually get to use the strength of that wall or really reflect on that wall until we get through a recovery week to let that fitness kind of settle in. Fitness actually declines a lot slower than people think. So people get sick, or they have a little injury and they're freaking the F out. And it's like, no, you need weeks of not doing anything in order to see like a pretty significant decline. So one day, 100% will never erase months of training, ever. Rest actually reduces your injury risk. Not only that, but of course, mentally helps you recover too. So this is not to say take a gazillion rest days, but don't be panicking if you have a rest day or if you have an unplanned rest day. Chances are you're just going to be that much fresher and have a much better quality workout after than you would have had otherwise.
Myth number 8, running ruins your knees. How many of us have heard this at some point?
So old-timey.
So old-timey, certainly from family members who don't understand running, but I've even heard it from doctors.
Yeah, for sure.
So it is a long-held, deep-seated belief that people have. But the research actually generally shows that recreational runners have lower rates of knee injuries and osteoarthritis than sedentary adults. So like movement is good.
Yeah, motion's lotion, people.
That's right. The real issue isn't necessarily running, it's poor training progression. It's like stacking too quickly, adding on miles too quickly. Your cardiovascular system is going to adapt far faster than your musculoskeletal system. And so, if we don't have the proper progression, we're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Your injury history actually matters a lot more than just the fact that you're a runner.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can really mitigate this injury risk with things like using an appropriate training plan that we know has a proper progression. Strength work, you guys all saw that coming, right? Like running doesn't ruin your knees. Not doing strength training might ruin your knees.
Yeah.
And last but not least, if you think your form is a little funky, we do biomechanical assessments. Like if you think that something about your run form might be improved, you can look into that, and that can also help mitigate that chance of injury too. Myth number 9, we're getting there. You have to run fast to get faster. Well, I will say it does help to run fast, right? But 100% not all the time. Most training, especially when you're looking at 10K and up, should be very easy. And by easy, our easy AF is marathon plus 45 to 90, sometimes all the way up to 120 seconds. So easy is key. You got to have a base. Aerobic fitness really drives performance when it comes to endurance events, and easy runs improve mitochondrial density, which is how your body delivers oxygen to your muscles to help them work. You cannot have a ton of mitochondrial density if you run everything fast. It's kind of that garbage zone 3 zone. You might feel internally like a champion, but rest assured you are building junk. You're not building mitochondrial density, you're not building muscular endurance, you're building the ability to run in one very finite zone while flooding yourself with lactic acid. Like it's not a great situation. Hard workouts are definitely important, but if you do them back to back to back, if you don't give yourself time to recover, you're never actually going to get the benefit. And by recover, we mean take the easy runs as the majority in between those harder efforts. You're never actually going to be able to reap those benefits. Your body's just going to keep having to work hard, and you're never going to develop, or you're going to develop at a very slow rate. The 80-20 principle, 80% of your training should be in that wildly aerobic, easy AF place. 20% should be intensity. And we even see this like on our long runs. I think this weekend is like 11 miles, 4 miles easy AF, 3 miles at marathon pace, 4 miles at easy AF. That's the upcoming run. Okay, so like that's a great 80-20 example, pretty damn close, right? Of making sure that 80% of that workout is going to be, and the week overall is going to be that super, super easy breezy. You actually get faster by going slower in that case.
Myth number 10, missing one workout ruins your training. We know this just isn't true. The truth is that fitness is not built in one single workout. It's built over months, and missing one workout rarely matters. Now, we're not telling you to miss workouts, right? Like we're not telling you intentionally, you can skip all your long runs, you'll be fine.
Don't do that.
But we know that there's no magic bullet. There's no one single workout that's gonna guarantee race day success. Instead of trying to make up workouts or tack them on to other days, we say, like you just chalk that up as you missed it and move on. Now there's an option, of course, like to switch. If it was something super important, you could switch it maybe for later in your week. But, to your point, we don't want to stack too many hard efforts because then we risk not recovering. But, the truth is like skipping or missing because life gets in the way, one workout is not going to make or break you.
It's not. And most well-written plans are progressive. And if you miss one, you can still pick back up the following week, right?
Yep.
Bottom line is you don't get fit from one workout and you don't lose fitness from missing one.
All right, so sometimes it is good to question the advice that you hear, even if it's been around for decades. Maybe especially if it's been around for decades.
If it's as old as us, maybe question it.
So if there's one theme today, it's this: good running isn't about doing the hardest thing, it's about doing the right things consistently.
And the best runners aren't the ones who never miss workouts or never walk or never rest or always push harder. They're the runners who make smart decisions over and over again. And they probably also listen to Coach Quip.
Definitely listen to Coach Quip. So what is the biggest running myth that you wish would die? Leave us a note in the comments and let us know.
Till next time.